In this video, we're having a look at the LEICA LEITZPHONE from Xiaomi. Hi, I'm Lee. Welcome to the channel. I hope you're having a lovely day. So, this is one of the, I think, sort of flagship phones that's come out from Xiaomi with the, I think, the 17 line. And this one focuses very much on the camera and photography, and we'll get into all of that. But first, let's talk about pricing, specs, what comes in the box, all that kind of stuff. I'll put chapter markers down at the bottom, so if you want to skip ahead to a particular point, go ahead and skip ahead to a point. So first of all, price, $2,299 Australian, which is a fair chunk of change, but as you can see, you're also getting a fair chunk of phone for that fair chunk of change. So first of all, let's just have a look at physically what the phone looks like. That is the back of the phone. It's got the lovely Leica symbol, which I think that adds about $1,000 just having the Leica symbol on there alone. I'm joking, of course, but am I? And then fantastic cameras here on the back. You've got a 200 megapixel, I think it's equivalent of 70 to 200. I'll double check that. I'll put that down here. You've got 50 megapixel, you've got ultra wide. You have some nice detailing here on the side, so you've sort of got a nice sort of solid grip. You then have the actual Leica Camera Germany labeling there on the side, which is also a nice bit of branding on the phone. You've got Xiaomi there on the bottom. And one of the cool things about it, and I know I haven't even gotten to like the front of the phone, but one of the cool things here, and yet, is this bar, this circle, this ring is actually adjustable. And the beauty of that is you can actually adjust, you can set it to do things on the phone. So for example, I've got it set as my zoom rocker when I'm in photos, so I can adjust my continuous zoom with that, which is pretty darn cool. One slight negative about this ring is, at least for me, it's too light on how quickly and easily it moves. I would have preferred if it had a little bit more push, if it sort of was a bit tighter and it sort of pushed against you, so you could make more precise movements with it. It feels a bit too loose, and it's too easy to kind of sort of go past the point of what you're trying to go to, so I would prefer if it sort of pushed back a bit. The other thing, for a $2,299 phone, it's a bit loose. You can hear it. It shouldn't jiggle like that. It should be nice and solid. So that's could be better, could be worse. Then in terms of actual specs, let's just talk about what the actual specs are. This comes with a Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 mobile platform processor. I take it that's a very fast and advanced one. It certainly feels very zippy when you're using the phone. Nice feature about it, it does have a built-in fingerprint scanner down here on the actual screen, so you can just unlock with your fingerprint. It can unlock with your face as well, but it actually tells you that the face unlock is not as secure as the fingerprint one, and you can set up multiple fingerprints, which is really useful. It's got an Adreno GPU and a Qualcomm AI engine. It has dual SIM card slots, and it does have eSIM functionality as well. It's got 16 gigabytes of RAM for your basic sort of moving around and doing things, and it also has 1 terabyte of storage. There are no different models, there's just this one, and it comes with 1 terabyte of storage, which I think is important, because if you're going to be taking lots of photos, lots of video, and with this phone, Freudian slip there, with this phone, you're definitely going to be wanting it to take lots of photos and lots of video. In terms of weight, it's 223.4 grams. It doesn't feel heavy, it doesn't feel light. I think the weight pretty much feels right. In terms of the screen, it is a 6.9 OLED display. It has Xiaomi Shield glass, a resolution of 2608 by 1200. It has a refresh rate of 1 to 120 hertz. So what that means is you get 120 hertz when you need it, but it can drop all the way down to 1 hertz in order to save battery and to save power usage, so that if there's not a lot going on the screen, it doesn't use that refresh rate on the entire screen. In terms of brightness, it goes up to 300 nits peak brightness, so absolutely no issues in terms of the brightness of the screen. And as you can see from this video that I'm playing, it is a gorgeous screen, and you'd want a gorgeous screen to show off the photos and the videos and the things that you're capturing. You want to be able to show them off on a really nice screen. In terms of gaming, as you'd expect with a phone like this, the specs are pretty high and pretty impressive, so there's not really going to be any issues in terms of game performance. And yep, I haven't seen any dropped frames, any major issues. It's been a lovely phone to just pop some games on and just muck about with it if you do want to do some gaming on it. In terms of the actual specifications of the cameras on the back here, you have your wide, which is a 50 megapixel, 23 millimeter equivalent. Then you have your telephoto zoom, which is a 75 to 200 millimeter equivalent, and that's a 200 megapixel camera. And then you have your ultra wide, which is a 14 millimeter equivalent, which is also a 50 megapixel camera. You then also have a very nice 50 megapixel camera here on the front as well. Another feature that I wanted to talk about, not a big deal, lots of phones have this, but I really like the fact that this phone does have this. So in terms of plugging it in, when you plug it in, it will charge at 90 watts, or at least up to 90 watts, depending on what charger you're using with it. And for wirelessly charging, it can charge up to 50 watts. But a nice feature this has is you do have reverse wireless charging. So you can actually charge, say, your headphones off of the phone. So you can actually pop your headphones on there and charge them. Or if you had another phone, so for example my iPhone here, you could pop that on the back, and once you find the spot, you can actually charge another phone wirelessly off of this, which is hugely inefficient. You shouldn't do that, but in a pinch you can. Now let's have a quick look at a couple of the accessories that you get in the box, and they are worth mentioning. So you get this really nice LEICA cloth, which is, it's a nice cloth, but it is, you can feel it, it's good quality, it is a nice cloth. And then you get this case that comes along with a strap, a very LEICA-like strap. So again, you can strap it around your hand like that, and it also comes with a LEICA lens cover. One thing, and again, I guess they had to choose, is this lens cover won't work on the phone. It only works on the case. Not a big deal, but I think it's worth mentioning. The other thing that's very important, I think worth mentioning when we talk about the case on the phone, is the strength of the magnet on the phone. So you can use this with wireless chargers, or more importantly with wireless tripod holders and things like that. But let me show you. The actual magnet on the phone is not particularly strong. So I've got one of those magnety things here, and if I magnet it onto it, it's kind of holding on. Like if I hold that upside down, it's not really worth mentioning, whereas the magnet in the case is super, super strong. So if you are going to mount this, and I do this quite a lot, is if I'm going to mount it on a tripod or a little holder, I'll use one of those magnetic ones. So for example, here's one I prepared earlier. I've just got a little thing like that can magnet onto the back. Now this will hold onto the phone. You can see that it's holding onto the phone, and if you want to use it as a little stand, it works on the phone. So for something like that, it works just fine. But if I were to put it, as you saw, on a holder for a tripod, you don't want your phone falling off when you're trying to use it with a tripod. So definitely have it in the case, because the magnet on there is super strong. And yeah, that's just one thing to keep in mind. Now I want to dive into the actual camera settings and how they work and what you can do, all that kind of stuff. So you've got your basic camera settings, take photos, what have you. You've got a zoom. Now the zoom is pretty darn stunning. So you can go all the way from 0.06 all the way up to 8.6, and this is all optical. So you're not cropping in on an image or anything like that. That is the actual zoom. And as you can see, the results you can get are quite stunning. So you have a fantastic range all the way from 0.06 ultra wide all the way down to 8.6, and you can zoom even further, but that does then that then is using a digital zoom as opposed to an optical zoom. In terms of how you zoom, you obviously can just use the software in the camera app, but I've actually got the ring on the back set up to, as soon as I move the ring, it automatically activates the camera and it automatically starts zooming in, and it uses the continuous zoom for the camera. So you can see that I can go all the way down to 8.6 with that, and I can then come all the way back to 0.6, and I'm just using the dial, I'm just using the ring on the back of the camera, which is pretty cool. And again, this is why I would have preferred if it was a bit stronger and it sort of pushed back a bit, so you could be a bit more refined with those actual spots. If we jump into the settings on the phone, you do actually have some control over what that camera ring does. So if we tap in the settings here, it gives you an example here, and you can see here that I've got the quick launch. It will actually open up the camera. So if I've got the phone locked, I can still open up the camera just by moving the camera ring. Then when I'm in camera mode, it will use for photos, and then when it's the rotation angle is medium, but I can set it to large or small. So you do have an adjustment there, but you can't adjust how strong that is. And I know I keep going on about that, but you know, that is something that I'm always on. And you can also set it to be always on, or you can set it to only when the camera is on. And then in terms of the features, here you can see where you can switch it on, switch it off. You've got camera controls from preview, so remove the controls when rotating the camera ring for a clearer view. So again, you've got that little bit of the zoom, you know, the UI that comes up. You can have it so it doesn't come up and you just use the zoom. And then you can set what it does in different modes. So for example, in photo, I've got it set to continuous zoom, but I could set it for focal length, EV, or filters. And also inside of video, in portrait, in pro, in fast mode. In fact, I want to set that to, oh, see, in pro you actually have even more options here. I didn't realize this. I didn't dig that deep before I did this. So I can switch my focal length, continuous zoom, filters, shutter speed, white balance, focus. So I could actually use it as a focus ring, which is pretty cool in the pro mode. Yeah, so lots of features and lots of nice. I really like the deep dive that you can do into the camera ring. Yeah, again, I know I've said it like 3 times, but my only complaint is I just wish it wasn't so loose. Now you do have all these looks when you're in the photo mode, and you've got them in video mode as well. Not exactly the same, but they work fairly similarly. And so you can go from, you know, high contrast, low contrast, black and white, different types of black and white, a little bit more vivid, a little bit less vivid. So yeah, you've got these wonderful filters. So you can very quickly get a particular look if you're going for that particular look. You then also have these 2 Leica looks, and you get to them by going through the menu, and then you can choose between them from either the Leica M3 or the M9. And this gives you different sort of, one sort of little black and white kind of a look, and then one very much a color kind of look. And if you're not familiar with the photo field, Leica definitely has a very unique aesthetic to it, to Leica cameras, and it's definitely a very popular aesthetic look for photos within the photo community. That's, I'm going to start arguments there, but I think most people can look at it and go, yeah, I like a Leica, you know? You then also have panorama mode, which seems pretty obvious, but you know, you can do panoramas. You then have long exposure mode, and again, I like this because you can have a bit of fun with it. So even if you're not taking a long exposure of stars or anything like that, you can, and you definitely want to be on a tripod when you're doing this. And I like the little tooltips that come up and say you need to be on a tripod to do this, because if you're not on a tripod, the whole thing's going to be all wobbly. But you can see in this example, I actually got pretty lucky in terms of there was a cyclist with a fluoro vest riding through, and so I've got almost like a Tron kind of yellow line going through the image. So you can actually have quite a lot of fun with the long exposure. And what's nice about this is that it does the auto exposure for the rest of the photo, so you don't have to add ND filters or anything like that. I'm sure it's doing some clever computery AI type stuff to make this happen. And again, you can do this with other phones, but I think it's worth mentioning that you can do this really nicely with these lovely settings on this lovely phone with the lovely cameras. Within the long exposure, you have specific looks. So if you're going for, you know, starry nights, you're going for light leaks, you're going for light writing, all these sorts of things. So you do have different looks that you can choose from within the long exposure setting. A nifty little feature that is actually quite a lot of fun is live photography. So what this does is that for the first 2 seconds, it records in normal mode, and then the last second it records in slow motion. So it's like a live photo. So it's not really a video, it's not really an image, it's sort of almost like a GIF, I suppose. More video than image. But it's nothing particularly overly special or anything fancy or anything like that, but it is actually something you can have a lot of fun with. You can just see here, I'll play a little sample of Archie very kindly played my model, and yeah, you can just have some fun with it. You then have Pro Mode, and Pro Mode allows you to have basically manual controls over all the camera settings. So your shutter speed, your compensation, your ISO, your focus, all that kind of stuff. A couple of other features that I noticed that I really like are that in the video mode, it gives you a waveform, and in the photography mode, it gives you a histogram. So again, if you want to set your exposures, you've got zebras, you can set up peaking for your focus. If you want to manually peak. If you want to manually focus, it'll give you focus peaking. What focus peaking does is when you're doing a manual focus, it'll highlight in green or in red or in a particular color what is in focus and isn't in focus, because sometimes your eyes can't quite tell, so the camera will show you what is and isn't in focus. You then have a nice manual control over the zoom, so you can actually zoom in close and zoom out in a continuous way. So if you're doing this in video, you want it to be continuous. You don't want it to sort of just jump in and out unless you wanted to jump in and out, in which case you can do that if you want, but you do have this dial to do the continuous zoom in and out. Now let's talk about the actual quality of the photos. As you can see, the quality of the photos, the quality of the videos, I'm sure YouTube's doing some interesting things with the compression, but take my word for it, the quality is stunning. You really get lovely, beautiful, sharp images. The color is nice and vibrant. The contrast is contrasty. The video also is nice and vibrant. You can go all the way up to 8K 30 frames per second. You can do 4K 420 frames per second in the video, and all sorts of things in between. The quality of the images and the content that you can capture with the cameras in this phone are just stunning. So what are my final thoughts on the Leica LEITZPHONE from Xiaomi? Well, as you may have guessed from how I've spoken about it throughout this video, the cameras are just stunning. The images and the videos that you're able to capture with this phone, with this camera, it's almost a camera with a phone attached rather than the other way around. Yeah, a couple of little issues, again, that I just can't let go of this whole fact that the camera ring is so loose. I would like them to tighten up the camera ring, but other than that, in terms of the actual phone, you know, the performance is great, the screen is stunning, the size, the look, it's a nice, you know, it's not flashy, which I'm not a huge fan of flashy phones, so depending, sometimes I do like them. I really like orange. I must say, I really do like the orange in some other phone that's out recently. But this is a very reserved sort of looking phone, but I really like the reserved look as well. I think it's very clean. It's only 3 buttons. You've got this sleep wake button, you've got the volume up and down, and that's it. You obviously have the camera ring, which gives you a few more other functionalities. But yeah, in terms of speed, performance, screen quality, sound out of the speakers, all fantastic. It's got all the bells and whistles, all the features you could want. The camera, oh my goodness, the camera. No secret, if you've watched the channel before, I'm an Apple person. You can tell from the posters behind me. I'm locked in quite happily into the Apple ecosystem and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not going to be replacing my iPhone with this phone anytime soon. Also, this is a loaner. I've got to give it back. I'm a little upset about that because if I had a spare $2,200 just floating around, I checked the couch, no bueno, I would have very little hesitation in getting this as my second phone and using this quite possibly as my main camera, definitely when it comes to zooming in on things. Yeah, I mean, particularly like the moon shots that my wife got. So there was the blood moon the other night, and we ran outside to try and get some photos and do some stuff with it. And I took my phone out, I took my big camera out and got some lovely stuff. In fact, you know what, I'll play a little time lapse here very quickly of the time lapse that I shot with my big camera and my big 600mm lens. But my wife was standing next to me with the LEITZPHONE. I apologize if I'm pronouncing this incorrectly, but I think it's LEITZPHONE, LEITZPHONE. But yeah, she was standing next to me just down a driveway, and these are some of the shots that she got. Keep in mind, now it does have a special moon mode, and it's so frustrating because I was trying to find it and I couldn't find it because it automatically turns it on. It detects when you're trying to take a photo of the moon or a video of the moon, and it'll turn it on. But have a look at these images of the moon. This was taken with a phone, handheld. I'm almost tempted not to even play any of this video and just play that photo of these photos of the moon, and there you go, there's your review. So yeah, as you may have guessed, if you've got the money, if you're an Android user, and if photography and video and that kind of stuff is really important to you, I think this phone is well worth putting on your list of options of phones you should be looking at. For me at the moment, it would be at the top of my list. I hope this video was helpful. I hope it was useful. If you have found this video helpful or useful, please like and subscribe to the channel. I hope you are enjoying the stuff that I'm putting out. If you've already subscribed to the channel, thank you so much for your support, and we'll catch you in the next one. Safe and happy snapping away. Diving back into the photo settings. Oh my God, why is that not That's not plugged in. Oh, for heaven's sakes, I'm gonna have to grab the recording off of the mic because it wasn't plugged in properly. Oh well, we'll just use the record. We'll use the audio from the mic. So that's just what we're gonna have to do because it was picking it up and it is recording on the mics. Yes, it is. Jolly good. Okay, excellent. Don't pay attention, and this is what happens. Let's do that again, and this time with the microphone switched on. Why is it not? Oh, because I'm on a video of my gallery. What a numpty. I just really like the fact that it does have... No, that's not what I wanted to do. That's actually kind of a cool shot, actually. Actually, I am going to get some video of that, because that is actually just a really cool shot. Yeah, okay. Okay, come on, focus, 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 focus. Not the camera, me, although the camera needs to focus as well. I'm Lee, welcome to the channel. I hope you're having... Oh, okay, okay, stop. How do I get that to go? Stop it. Focus on the phone. It's here. Is it? No, focus on the phone. Ignore that. Stop looking at that. Thank you.